Welcome to a journey that will challenge everything you thought you knew about love, acceptance, and family. Have you ever felt torn between your beliefs and the unconditional love you have for someone? In today's story, we dive into the life of Ethan, a father caught in a web of expectations and societal norms, struggling to embrace his son Tyler's true self. When a near-death experience shatters his worldview, Ethan is faced with profound revelations that could either heal or break his family apart. What happens when a moment of crisis leads to a transformation that redefines love and acceptance? Join us as we explore Ethan's emotional journey and discover how one man's awakening can inspire us all to embrace the true meaning of love. Stay tuned as we unfold this powerful tale of redemption and hope. But before we dive into this compelling story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. By doing so, you'll be the first to catch our latest videos filled with powerful stories, life lessons, and inspirational journeys. Join our growing community of viewers who believe in the power of love and acceptance. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let us know how you connect with today's story. Your voice matters, and together we can create a space for meaningful conversations. Now let's get started. In a cozy small-town setting in the Midwest where community ties are strong and faith runs deep, we meet Ethan, a dedicated father in his 30s. Ethan works as a manager at the local bank. However, he is grappling with a heavy internal conflict. His adopted son, Tyler, has recently come out as gay, and Ethan is struggling to accept this new reality. At the dinner table, an air of tension fills the room. Ethan sits rigidly, dressed neatly in a button-up shirt, trying to project authority. Across from him, Tyler, a shy 16-year-old, fidgets in his casual clothes, clearly anxious. Their mother, Grace, also in her 30s, radiates warmth and compassion. She gently encourages Tyler to open up about his day. "Tyler, how was school today? Did you finish that art project you were working on?" Grace asks with a supportive smile. "Yeah, it was okay, I turned it in," Tyler replies, his voice barely above a whisper, his gaze fixed on his plate. Noticing the discomfort, Ethan attempts to steer the conversation toward church, hoping to create a connection. "So, Tyler, have you thought more about joining the youth group at church? It could help you meet other kids your age." Tyler hesitates, his expression tightening. "I don't think I belong there, Dad." Frustration creeps into Ethan's voice as he responds, "What do you mean?" "It's a great opportunity. All the kids there share our beliefs." Grace, sensing the rising tension, chimes in with a firm yet gentle tone. "Ethan, let him make his own choices. Not everyone feels the same way about church as you do." The tension escalates as Tyler looks down, fidgeting with his hands. Ethan glances at Grace, who wears a worried expression, torn between her love for her son and the pressure of community expectations. As dinner progresses, Ethan feels the weight of the world on his shoulders. He worries about how others in their close-knit community will judge him as a father if Tyler's identity becomes known. "Remember, honey, what Matthew 7:1 says, 'Judge not, that ye be not judged,'" Grace reminds Ethan softly. "We need to support Tyler, not push him away." Ethan's expression tightens and he falls silent, grappling with Grace's words. Her reminder of unconditional love hangs in the air, amplifying his inner turmoil. After dinner, Tyler quietly excuses himself, leaving Ethan and Grace alone in the dimly lit kitchen. "We have to find a way to reach him, Ethan. He needs to know that we love him no matter what," Grace says, her voice filled with concern and determination. I don't want him to face the world alone. I want him to be strong," Ethan replies, sincerity etched across his face, reflecting his desire to protect his son. As they talk, the tension between them reflects Ethan's struggle to balance his protective instincts with the need to embrace his son for who he truly is. This moment sets the stage for the challenges they will face, where love and acceptance will be tested in unexpected ways. As the days slip by in their small Midwestern town, the atmosphere at home grows heavier. One evening, the family gathers around the dinner table, but what was once a space of warmth is now filled with discomfort. Ethan sits at the head of the table, his expression tense while Grace serves dinner, her usual cheer replaced with concern. "How was your day, Tyler?" Grace asks, attempting to spark a conversation. But Tyler merely shrugs, his focus fixed on his plate. He can sense the storm brewing between his parents. Ethan's frustration bubbles over. "Maybe you should concentrate more on your studies and less on, well, whatever this is," he says, his voice stern. Grace's brow furrows in response. "Ethan, please. He's trying to figure himself out. We need to support him, not push him away." What do you mean support? He's confused. It's not healthy to let him think this is acceptable. Ethan's voice rises, echoing through the room. Tension crackles in the air as Tyler shifts uncomfortably in his seat, trapped between two opposing sides. Ethan, you're being inflexible. You can't impose your beliefs on him. He needs to feel accepted, not judged, Grace argues, her voice trembling with emotion. Tyler's heart races as he watches the confrontation unfold. He feels like a pawn in a game he never wanted to play, his identity the battleground of a conflict he can't comprehend. Why can't you see that he's struggling? You're only driving him away. Don't you love him enough to understand what he's going through? Grace pleads, desperation creeping into her voice. Ethan crosses his arms, his resolve unyielding. And I don't want him to face the world thinking this is acceptable. What will the church think? What will our friends think? His concern for societal judgment weighs heavily on his shoulders. As the argument escalates, Tyler's heart sinks. He begins to withdraw into himself, feeling the sharp sting of disappointment. Why can't they understand? Why do I feel so unworthy of their love? The thoughts swirl in his mind like a storm, churning with self-doubt. The world outside his home seems inviting, yet he feels trapped within these walls. The tension peaks, and Ethan slams his hand on the table, causing the silverware to rattle. This is my house, and I have the right to raise my son how I see fit. Grace's voice quakes as she responds. And I have the right to stand up for him. This isn't just about you. Tyler's heart shatters as he hears their argument intensifying. Unable to bear it any longer, he quietly slips away from the table, convinced he's the source of their turmoil. In the hallway, he overhears Ethan and Grace's voices rise, the words piercing through the walls like arrows. He retreats further into his room, closing the door behind him with a soft click. Alone in the darkness, Tyler curls up on his bed, tears streaming down his cheeks. He feels utterly isolated, convinced that he is unworthy of their love. The gap between him and his parents seems unbridgeable, and the sense of belonging he once cherished feels like a fading memory. As the night stretches on, the tension in the house lingers. The love that once filled their home is overshadowed by a growing divide, and Tyler's heart aches with the fear that he may never find acceptance within his own family. The tension in the house was palpable, thickening the air around them. Ethan could no longer hold back his frustration. Tyler's refusal to attend church had become a point of contention he couldn't ignore any longer. It had always been a cherished family tradition, something they did together as a unit. Gathering his courage, Ethan approached Tyler, who was shut away in his room, music blaring through his headphones. "Tyler, we need to talk," Ethan said, trying to keep his voice steady and authoritative. Tyler glanced up, pulling off his headphones, the mix of defiance and vulnerability evident in his eyes. "About what?" "About your decision not to go to church. It's important to our family," Ethan insisted, urgency creeping into his tone. "I don't feel like I belong there," Tyler retorted, anger flickering in his voice. "Every time I walk through those doors, it's like I'm a disappointment to you." Ethan's heart sank. "That's not true. You're my son. I love you. Then why can't you accept me for who I am?" Tyler's voice quivered, revealing the pain hidden beneath his anger. "All I ever wanted was for you to love me unconditionally." As the argument escalated, Grace entered the room, her eyes wide with worry. "Ethan, please," she interjected, attempting to ease the growing tension. "This isn't helping." "Stay out of this, Grace," Ethan snapped, feeling the pressure of the moment closing in on him. "He's my son, and I need him to understand what's right. Right for you or right for him," Grace countered, her voice calm but firm. "He deserves to be loved for who he is, not who you want him to be." Ethan's thoughts whirled chaotically. He felt torn between his deeply rooted beliefs and the overwhelming love he had for his son. Tyler's words struck him, planting seeds of doubt in his mind. "I never wanted to push you away, Tyler," he finally said, his voice trembling with emotion. "I just thought I was doing what was best." Tears welled in Tyler's eyes as he looked at his father, a blend of hurt and longing etched on his face. "If you can't accept me, then I don't know how to stay here." Grace sensed the intensity of the situation weighing heavily on her heart. "Ethan, we need to listen to him. He's hurting," she pleaded, stepping closer to her husband, trying to bridge the widening gap between father and son. But in that moment of desperation, Ethan felt overwhelmed, as if he were drowning in a sea of conflicting emotions. He could see the pain in both Tyler's and Grace's faces, yet his fear of losing his beliefs and his family clawed at him. Without another word, Ethan turned and left the room, his heart pounding furiously in his chest. "Please don't go! We can work this out!" Grace called after him, but he needed air, needed space to think. As he drove away into the night, the darkness wrapped around him like a heavy blanket, the headlights cutting through the shadows. He glanced in the rearview mirror, watching the silhouette of his home fade into the distance. Feeling the crushing weight of the decisions that lay ahead, thoughts raced through his mind like wild horses. What if he was losing both his son and his marriage? The road stretched out before him, uncertain and confusing. How could he reconcile his faith with the love he felt for Tyler? Ethan wrestled with the reality of his situation, struggling to navigate the clash between his beliefs and the looming possibility that he might have to change. Each mile he drove pulled him further away from the life he had always known, deepening the suspense of what awaited his family. As Ethan drove away from home, the burden of his decisions pressed down on him like a heavy fog. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows on the road, mirroring the regrets that seemed to stretch endlessly behind him. He couldn't shake the memories of the heated arguments with Grace, the frustrated conversations that never seemed to go anywhere, and the hurt look on Tyler's face. It all felt like a heavy weight on his chest, making it hard to breathe. The road ahead felt uncertain, just like his relationship with his son. Thoughts raced through his mind, swirling in a chaotic mix of sorrow and anger. How had things come to this? He had always imagined a close-knit family where love and support flowed freely. But now, with Tyler's recent revelation, it felt like a chasm had opened between them, wide and deep. Ethan couldn't help but think about the countless hours they had spent together, playing catch in the yard, laughing over family dinners. Those moments now felt distant, overshadowed by the tension that had taken hold of their lives. "What's happening to us?" he murmured to himself, feeling a bitter taste of regret rising in his throat. The road stretched out before him, but his thoughts were clouded. What kind of father was he, if he couldn't accept his son for who he was? He thought of Grace, who had always been the beacon of love and support, encouraging Tyler to embrace his true self. That quality, which Ethan once admired, now frustrated him. He felt lost, unable to reconcile his beliefs with the love he had for his family. In a moment of reflection, he recalled how Tyler had come to him, eyes bright with hope, eager to share a piece of his life. But instead of embracing that moment, Ethan had let his fears dictate his response. The guilt washed over him, a wave that threatened to pull him under. Just then, a flash of metal caught his eye, and he instinctively turned his head. Without warning, a massive truck veered into his lane, barreling toward him with no time to react. Panic gripped Ethan as he realized the danger. He jerked the steering wheel to the right, adrenaline coursing through his veins. But it was too late. The deafening roar of the truck's engine filled his ears, drowning out everything else. In a heartbeat, chaos erupted. The collision was catastrophic. Ethan felt his body slam against the seatbelt as the airbag deployed with a powerful thud. Time seemed to stretch as everything around him shattered. Glass flew, metal crumpled, and his world turned upside down. As the sound of the accident echoed in his ears, his thoughts flickered to Tyler. Would he ever see his son again? The thought sent a chill down his spine. The darkness began to creep in, but it wasn't just the absence of light. It was the weight of regret, fear, and unspoken love. Just as everything went black, a blinding light filled his vision. It was brighter than anything he had ever seen, a light that seemed to pulse with warmth and acceptance. Ethan felt himself being pulled away from the wreckage, away from the pain and confusion. In that moment, he was enveloped in an overwhelming sense of peace, as if he were floating in a vast, comforting embrace. He could feel the chaos of his life drifting away, leaving behind the weight of his burdens. The hurt, anger, and confusion faded into the background, replaced by a profound stillness. For the first time in what felt like ages, he felt safe. No expectations, no judgment, just a quiet serenity that wrapped around him like a gentle blanket. Ethan realized he was no longer just a father or a husband burdened by the expectations of his family and community. In this new realm, he was simply a soul, ready to embark on a journey that would change everything he believed. This was a chance for understanding, for clarity, for healing. As he floated in this comforting light, he sensed that he was on the cusp of discovering truths about love, acceptance, and the nature of faith that had eluded him in life. In the depths of this experience, Ethan's journey had just begun. He had entered a world beyond pain and regret, where lessons awaited him. This adventure would guide him toward the love he had struggled to express and the acceptance he had resisted for far too long. What lay ahead was not just an exploration of the afterlife, but a profound journey toward healing his heart and soul. As Ethan slipped into unconsciousness, everything around him faded away, leaving behind the chaos of his recent life. Suddenly, he found himself in a breathtaking field bathed in a soft, golden light. The air felt warm and inviting, wrapping around him like a comforting blanket. For the first time in what felt like ages, Ethan experienced a profound sense of peace. It was as if every burden he had ever carried had vanished in an instant. In this ethereal place, an overwhelming presence of love and acceptance surrounded him, soothing his troubled heart and calming his mind. Amidst this tranquility, Ethan noticed a figure approaching him, a radiant presence that exuded warmth and compassion. As the figure drew nearer, Ethan recognized him as Jesus, his face glowing with serenity and understanding. In that moment, Ethan felt a mix of awe and comfort. He was in the presence of someone who knew him inside and out. "Ethan," Jesus spoke softly, his voice echoing like a gentle breeze through the fields. "Welcome to a place of healing and truth. Here, you will come to understand the essence of love." Ethan felt tears welling up in his eyes. "I've struggled so much with my son, with my faith. I don't know how to love him unconditionally." With a kind smile, Jesus responded, "Let's explore this together." As they walked through the luminous landscape, Jesus guided Ethan through a series of memories that formed the tapestry of his life. Each memory was vivid and raw, unfolding before him like scenes from a movie. Ethan watched himself in moments of anger and disappointment, especially the day Tyler had come out as gay. He felt the weight of confusion settle on his chest as he recalled his immediate feelings of rejection and fear. "What do you see?" Jesus asked, prompting Ethan to examine the reflections of his past. Ethan observed the pain in his son's eyes during their conversations. He witnessed the hurt Tyler felt, the hurt of being misunderstood by the one person he had always looked up to. Each moment cut deeper than the last, revealing the true impact of his conditional love. "Your son longs for your acceptance," Jesus explained gently, "but your rigid beliefs and fear of societal judgment have created a barrier between you. This fear is what holds you back from fully embracing him." Ethan's heart ached as the weight of this truth settled in. He had always loved Tyler, but his love had been tainted by the fear of what others would think and the fear of losing his faith. With each new memory, Ethan felt the chains of judgment that had bound him for so long begin to shatter. "I don't want to feel this way," he admitted, his voice cracking. "I want to love him fully, but I'm so afraid of what it means." Jesus placed a reassuring hand on Ethan's shoulder, radiating warmth. "Love is meant to be free, Ethan. It should not be conditioned by fear or societal expectations. You have the power to choose acceptance over doubt, love over fear. Understand that your journey is not only about your relationship with Tyler, it's about your relationship with yourself and the true meaning of faith." Ethan felt as if he were awakening from a long sleep, the light of realization flooding his senses. The visions continued, and he saw his son, alone, longing for acceptance, battling the shadows of rejection that loomed over him. It struck Ethan how deeply his conditional love had affected Tyler, and he felt a surge of regret. "Your son needs to know he is worthy of love," Jesus emphasized. "He deserves to feel accepted for who he is, not who you wish him to be." Ethan stood there, heart heavy yet hopeful, as tears streamed down his cheeks. The visions faded, but the lessons remained vivid in his mind. He now understood that love was not a finite resource. It could grow endlessly when shared freely, without fear or judgment. In that moment, he turned to Jesus, vulnerability etched on his face. "How do I change? How can I be the father Tyler needs?" "Start by embracing the truth of who you are and who your son is," Jesus advised. "Face your fears and let them guide you towards growth rather than hold you back. In doing so, you will not only heal your relationship with Tyler, but also discover a deeper connection with your faith." Ethan felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. The burden of his fears began to lift, replaced by a hopeful vision of acceptance and love. He recognized that true love was not about adhering to societal norms, but about embracing the individuality of his son, celebrating who Tyler truly was. In this moment of clarity, Ethan realized he was not just an observer of his life. He had the power to change it. With newfound determination, He looked into Jesus' eyes, feeling ready to embark on the journey ahead. "Thank you," Ethan whispered, his heart brimming with hope. "I will do better." As the light around him intensified, signaling the conclusion of this transformative encounter, Ethan felt a deep connection to Tyler that he had never truly experienced before. The journey ahead would not be easy, but he now understood that the path was paved with love, acceptance, and the courage to face his fears. In this sacred space, Ethan was no longer just a father struggling with doubt. He was a man transformed by love, ready to embrace his son for who he truly was. With this realization, he surrendered to the light, prepared to return and make amends. Ethan slowly blinked his eyes open, squinting against the bright fluorescent lights above. The sharp scent of antiseptic filled the air, mingling with the soft hum of medical equipment. At first, he felt a wave of confusion wash over him, his surroundings coming into focus bit by bit. He was in a hospital room. As the memories of the accident rushed back, a torrent of emotions swept through him. Regret and fear that had once consumed him were now replaced by something extraordinary: clarity. In that brief encounter with the afterlife, he had felt an overwhelming sense of love and purpose. He understood now. He had been given a second chance to make things right. The thought of Tyler and Grace flooded his mind, igniting a fire of urgency within him. He couldn't stand the idea of leaving things unresolved, of the rift that had grown between him and his son. He had to reconnect with them, to heal the wounds that had festered in silence. With determination swelling in his chest, he reached for the call button, heart racing with anticipation. A nurse entered, her surprise evident as she noticed he was awake. "Mr. Johnson, you're awake! We've been monitoring you closely," she said, her relief palpable. "How are you feeling?" "I need to call my wife," Ethan replied, urgency spilling from his lips. "Can you help me?" Without hesitation, the nurse nodded and handed him the phone. As he dialed Grace's number, his hands trembled slightly. Would she answer? Would she even want to hear from him after everything that had happened? The phone rang, each tone echoing in his chest, amplifying his anxiety. "Hello?" Grace's voice came through, laced with surprise and concern, a mixture of relief and worry. "Grace, it's me," he said, his voice cracking under the weight of his emotions. "I'm so sorry for everything. I need you to know that I've changed. I want to be a better father and husband." He could hear her sharp intake of breath, and for a moment, silence enveloped them. "Ethan, is this really you? I was so scared. I thought..." Her voice trailed off, thick with unshed tears. "I know, and I'm sorry for how I treated you and Tyler. I've seen things, felt things that I can't fully explain. But I understand now. I want to support Tyler, to love him unconditionally. I need your help to make this right. Ethan," her voice softened, carrying the weight of so many unspoken words. "I believe you, but it's going to take time. Tyler is hurting, and we need to show him that he is loved just as he is." "I'll do whatever it takes," he vowed, feeling a swell of hope and determination. "I'll be there for both of you. I promise." After hanging up, Ethan lay back against the hospital bed, determination flooding his senses. He knew that rebuilding their relationship wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in ages, he felt a sense of hope blooming within him. He was ready to face the challenges ahead. He was prepared to fight for his family, to embrace a love that was genuine and accepting. As he closed his eyes, he envisioned the moment he would reunite with Tyler and Grace. He imagined their laughter, the warmth of their embraces, and the love that had once seemed so distant. With renewed clarity and purpose, he was determined to heal the rifts in their family and create a future anchored in love, understanding, and acceptance. This was his second chance, and he wouldn't let it slip away. Ethan stood outside Tyler's bedroom, his heart racing. It felt surreal to be back home after everything that had happened. He had been given a second chance, not just at life, but at being the father Tyler deserved. Taking a deep breath, he knocked softly on the door, hoping for a response. "Hey, Ty, can I come in?" The door opened just enough for Tyler to peek out, his expression wary. Ethan could see the uncertainty in his son's eyes, the walls he had built around his heart still very much intact. Sure," Tyler mumbled, stepping aside. Ethan entered the room, the air thick with unspoken words. "I want to talk," he began, his voice steady but gentle. "I know I've hurt you, and I'm sorry for how I've acted." I've been thinking a lot since the accident. Tyler shifted uncomfortably on his bed, avoiding eye contact. You don't have to say anything, Dad. I get it. No, I need to, Ethan insisted, his vulnerability spilling out. I had an experience that changed everything for me. I met Jesus, and he made me see how conditional my love has been. I was so afraid of what others would think that I lost sight of what really matters. My love for you. Tyler glanced up, surprise flickering across his face. You really think that? I do, Ethan affirmed, stepping closer. I love you, Tyler. No matter what. I want to support you, and I want to understand you better. For a moment, silence enveloped them, heavy with the weight of their shared pain. Tyler's guarded demeanor began to crack, and Ethan could see the glimmer of hope in his son's eyes. I don't know if I can trust that yet, Tyler finally admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. You've said things before and then acted differently. Ethan nodded, acknowledging his son's feelings. I understand, it's going to take time, but I'm committed to rebuilding this relationship. Will you give me that chance? With a hesitant nod, Tyler replied, Okay, but it won't be easy. I'm not expecting it to be, Ethan said, a hint of a smile breaking through the tension. But I want to try, starting with therapy. I think it could really help us all. As if on cue, Grace walked in, her warm presence immediately filling the room. How's it going in here? She asked, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. Ethan turned to her, feeling grateful for her support. We're going to give therapy a shot, he announced, glancing at Tyler for confirmation. Really? Grace asked, her eyes lighting up with hope. That's wonderful, both of you. I think it will be a great way for us to understand each other better. Tyler nodded, a slight smile breaking through his apprehension. Yeah, I guess it could help. Over the next few weeks, the family began attending therapy sessions together, each session unveiling layers of emotion they had kept hidden for so long. The therapist guided them through their struggles, fostering an environment where they could express their feelings without judgment. Ethan often found himself in awe of Tyler's strength. He had always seen his son as this brave, resilient kid, but hearing him share his experiences during therapy sessions painted a clearer picture of the emotional turmoil he had faced. Then came the day of the unexpected revelation. During one session, the therapist prompted Tyler to share his thoughts about relationships. As he spoke, his voice shook with both excitement and anxiety. There's this boy at school and I really like him, he confessed, his eyes darting between Ethan and Grace. Ethan felt his heart skip a beat. He wanted to support his son, but the revelation brought up a rush of conflicting emotions. Tyler, are you sure about this? He asked, his concern evident. Tyler's gaze fell. I know it sounds weird, but I can't help how I feel. I'm just scared about how you'll react. Grace quickly chimed in. Tyler, it's okay. You can talk about anything with us. We love you no matter what. Ethan felt a rush of realization wash over him. His son's happiness and authenticity were far more important than any societal expectation. I just want you to be happy, Tyler, he said, his voice softening. You deserve to love who you want to love. The tension in the room shifted as Tyler absorbed his father's words. Really? You're okay with that? Absolutely, Ethan replied with sincerity. It might take me time to fully understand, but I'll always love you. You're my son, and that won't change. In that moment, the bond between Ethan and Tyler deepened, solidifying their connection as they faced the challenges ahead together. The family began to navigate these new dynamics, embracing the messiness of life and love, united in their commitment to support one another. As they left the session, Ethan felt a warmth in his heart, a flicker of hope. They were on the path to healing, and he knew that together they could face anything that came their way. The transformation had begun, and it was just the start of a new chapter in their lives, one filled with understanding, love, and a deeper connection that would carry them forward. As the sun set, casting a warm glow across the living room, Ethan settled into the couch, enveloped in a deep sense of peace. It was hard to believe how much had changed since that fateful day, how a single moment could lead to such profound transformation. He glanced around the room at his family, each one a pillar of strength in their shared journey. Ethan took a deep breath, his heart full as he began to reflect on his experiences. You know, he started, his voice steady, It's incredible how we often get caught up in our fears and judgments. I used to think love was something we had to earn or prove. But what I've learned is that love is unconditional. It doesn't come with strings attached. It simply exists. He looked at Tyler, who sat beside him, a mix of curiosity and understanding on his face. There was a moment during my near-death experience when I realized that love is at the very core of who we are. Without love, we can't truly know God. And as 1 John 4:8 says, "Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love." Those words resonate with me now more than ever. Tyler nodded, absorbing his father's words. "I felt that change too," he said quietly. "It's like I can finally be myself without worrying about what you or anyone else thinks." Grace joined in, her eyes shimmering with emotion. "That's what we want for you, Tyler. To know that you're loved, just as you are. We've all learned that acceptance starts at home." Ethan smiled at his wife, grateful for her unwavering support. "Exactly. Our family is a testament to that love. We've been through so much, but here we are, standing stronger together. Every conversation, every therapy session, every moment we spend learning and growing, it's all part of this beautiful journey." In that moment of reflection, they shared a silent understanding, the kind that only comes from vulnerability and honesty. They had faced fears, navigated misunderstandings, and forged a new path of acceptance together. Ethan felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. I hope our journey inspires others to embrace love and acceptance in their lives. No matter where you are or what you've been through, remember that love is powerful. It can heal wounds, bridge gaps, and create bonds that last a lifetime. As they sat together, the warmth of their connection filled the room. Ethan felt hopeful, knowing that their story wasn't just about their family, but about the lessons they had learned along the way. "Let's continue to share our experiences," Ethan suggested, turning to Tyler and Grace. "Let's encourage others to reflect on their relationships, whether it's a child, a spouse, or a friend. We all have the opportunity to love more deeply and accept one another without judgment." He paused, allowing the weight of his words to settle. To anyone watching this, we invite you to think about your own relationships. Who can you reach out to? Who can you support? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let's start a conversation about love, acceptance, and growth. As the video began to fade, the family gathered together, arms wrapped around one another, radiating warmth and unity. Their bond was a reflection of their journey, a testament to the power of unconditional love. In the closing moments, the screen displayed a final message, encouraging viewers to embrace love in all its forms. And as the credits rolled, Ethan's heart swelled with hope, knowing their story could inspire others to forge their own paths of acceptance and understanding. In the end, love was not just a word. It was a way of life, and together, they would continue to live it fully. As we wrap up this heartfelt journey, let's take a moment to reflect on the powerful lessons we've learned today. Ethan's transformation reminds us that love, faith, and acceptance can break down the barriers that divide us. Remember the words from 1 John 4:8. "Whoever does not love does not know God, because God is love." We encourage you to embrace love in all its forms and to support those around you, no matter their differences. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. Your support helps us spread the message of acceptance and understanding. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you take away from Ethan's story? Share your reflections in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring content. Until next time, remember to love fiercely and live authentically.